Berlin Art Stories by Mila Panić.
Bok, Mila, kak si?
Ciao.
Hello,
Dobro
hello.
sam.
Okay, so I bombed a bit with the technical with the technical issues,
It's
but we're on
fine.
track. Thanks for your patience. It's
No worries. I understand. I also had always this kind of technical issue. So luckily we had time, so it's okay.
yeah, it's great. So tell me, how are you doing? You just came from trip to you've been in
Yes.
Bratislava. How
Yes,
was it?
I just came back last week. I did like a short tour with a friend of mine, another comedian. We did like 3 cities, and luckily like Vienna, Bratislava, and Brno.
Yes.
They're very close to each other. So we did the shows in these 3 cities. And so it's kind of, you save expenses at the same time and you do the shows into 3 different audiences. So, but yeah, of course, it's quite exhausting. So last week I came back and now I'm here.
Back in Berlin.
Yeah, back in Berlin.
Yeah, that's always a little bit of reset, I guess, after trips, art projects, and so on.
Exactly. It's, this is my base here and I do feel like home. And from time to time, it's really nice just to know that you don't need to move around anywhere or travel anywhere. So now I'm enjoying this. And I actually like this time in winter, it's coming, I'm more productive and I can just concentrate on myself.
That's cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I read a little bit from your last interview, like a little bit of to help myself to ask you questions, and I realized that it's not cool to ask you if you're a painter or you're a comedian. So maybe you can tell us a little bit how this intertwine and
Yeah.
actually how it all started, like in few words. Then we can
Yeah, I guess it's going to be more than few words, but I am what would you say? I'm a visual artist by profession. That was like my primary profession. I studied painting at Academy of Arts in Banja Luka in Bosnia. And, after that, I moved to Germany to pursue master studies at Bauhaus University in Weimar. And the program was Art in Public Space and New Artistic Strategies. So that was like 2 years in English language. And then after I graduated, I moved to Berlin. I was doing like multimedia art. After I finished painting and even during the studies of painting, I kind of already noticed I'm not as interested in the medium of painting. Not that I would, let's say, abandon it completely or I would not come back to it in one point in my life. But I just was so excited about the options about every other medium that I had no clue existed, that way of working. So I was, till today, I'm really still like into this exploration of how to express your opinions or ideas through different ways of working. That's how also stand-up comedy came in the game. And, like in Bosnia, there is not developed stand-up comedy scene and nor I knew about this medium. Even when I moved to Germany, it was very like, by accident, I kind of got into the joke writing workshop.
back in Bosnia? Or?
No, it's actually here in Germany. I got it like a friend of mine. She's a film director and we were just like trying to explore some new stuff. And she suggested like to do this. And we were like, okay, let's try it. It was some kind of like fun activity, but changed my whole way of thinking about art in general and approach how to do art.
So you've been really like literally brave to experiment out of your field of painting. You got a master's in
Yes.
painting. How was that? How did
No,
you?
masters were like new media, yeah. But so I'm originally from Brčko, and over there I did like basic high school, like gymnasium, and then I went to art university thinking that being an artist is a cool thing, you know. I had this idea of like, oh, I'm gonna be a painter, you know, like a cute girl, whatever. And then by doing this like 5 days a week, like 6 hours a day painting, and I was like, for whom? Who's gonna buy this paint? Like, I can't live. I don't want to work. Not that I have nothing against or like offending. Like, I don't want to work in schools in some remote village. I'm not interested in that. And I was quite disappointed. Like, is this gonna be my future? And then on the third year of academy, like we got introduced to intermediate art.
Okay.
And it was like not even obligatory subject. It was you can choose it if you want to attend or not. And I still remember the first lecture, and that night I couldn't sleep. I was like, that's it. There is something beyond painting.
Very early, I would say.
It was super, like, I don't know, it was like, 2011. And, I was also very fortunate. I was surrounded by not just great professors that were great pedagogues, but also the generation I studied with, like the friends of mine that we are till today friends, and we all do art till today. We all share the same urge and energy. So we were also like pushing each other, which you couldn't see and we could not notice also in the previous generations or afterwards. So we were like, it was like a group of 4 of us that really get together and like, okay, let's do this seriously. Mm-hmm. And so all 4 of us went also away from Bosnia. After we finished academy, that's the hardest point. What you gonna do? You're not a student anymore. So are you gonna pursue to be a teacher in school or try to go somewhere else to study? Mm-hmm. And of course, we were just like applying for scholarships and other programs, and we all went away in different directions. And so that's how I came also to Germany. But it was really also a help through our professors at academy, like not all of them, but those who were really interested into and selflessly helping students to when they see potential and interest. So they were really like pushing us. Like my first flight to Berlin and was actually provided by a professor.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow, so
exactly. Not just mine, like 4 of us. We never flew with a plane, and he was the reason that he got invited and his students, and he just shipped us literally to Berlin to listen to people like Boris Groys and Boris Budin. And that was when we met Mladen Stilinovic and all these people that till today, somehow, I don't know what happened at that symposium, to be honest. Like I was so, of course, young and not being able to comprehend the seriousness, let's say, what was happening back then in 2013. But the generosity of professor was like, it was energy that was like, okay, look, this simple idea I had at academy gave him assurance. Okay, Mila maybe has really a potential to do something. So give her this opportunity.
I see. So you've been having a nice backup, really good teachers and professors, and that's where the courage comes from.
I think so, yeah.
And I'm a bit older generation, so for us it's like heresy if you study painting and then in the end you say, okay, I'm interested totally to go out of it in a way. But for you, stand-up comedy now and doing art, it's actually it's melted into one form in a way.
Yes, I mean
you're still doing art.
I'm still doing art. Like I think I'm still in the process of merging these two things, and it's not like forced merging. It's just I'm the same person doing stand-up comedy and visual art, and I guess a lot of people consider this as 2 complete separate worlds. But to me, making a joke, as you probably read, making a joke, it's like making any other piece of art.
It's true.
It's really the same, like in terms like when you want to approach, like, I don't know, through the research, or like you're interested in a certain topic and then you're trying to make it bulletproof from all the angles and how it would function in different contexts. It's same with a joke. And to me, joke is just another medium to say what I want to say. And luckily I found that it's very suiting to my own persona and the way I go through life.
Yeah.
Because also like it was spontaneous coming to stand-up comedy, but I was very much open to explore different things because I had some kind of saturation of, I don't know, within my own practice. After I finished master studies, I came to Berlin. I was very much overwhelmed, not just by the, how I needed to live, because everyone thinks, okay, oh my God, you're an artist, you have freelance artist visa and you're living in Berlin. It's heaven and hell at the same time. You think, oh my God, I'm a freelance artist visa, but that basically thinks you're starvation,
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You can't do anything else beside art.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have gallery representation or some way of some side hustle how to make it and live in that you can write invoices, there is no way to earn money.
Absolutely.
I was working 4 years in a candy shop.
Wow.
Making candy art.
Oh shit. What?
Candy, on invoice, of course. I was selling candies, but
I
my
got you.
bosses were so generous
I see.
and loving me, and I was loving them. So it was mutual love of this thing. And it's just that they understood the position I was in, and they were like, okay, we keep you, and I'm gonna be writing them invoices that I'm helping them to make photographs from the candies and I don't know, some kind of small installation, windows installation, whatever. But I was actually selling candies. So it is a hustle how to start. So I was really in this point where you need to work 4 or 5 jobs to feed your imaginary idea that you are an artist.
Exactly.
And then what am I doing? And I'm always introducing myself as an artist, but actually I work in a candy shop. I work as a technical assistant for setting up exhibition, playing movies in cinema, babysitting, working in a bar. So am I lying myself or I'm lying to someone? And then I was like, okay, let me see how I can am I content with my own art? And I think also I was a bit stuck in 2019. I was part of this postgraduate program called Goldrausch. And it was the first acknowledgement of my own practice within the realms of Berlin in terms of, okay, this girl has something to say, has something interesting that we could be working with. And it's very good program that puts female artists on the kind of Berlin art scene. Kind of gives you a bit of visibility. And from there, I started to apply much more for the local scholarships and so on. And somehow I almost figured out how to get money. I felt as more I'm shitting on Germany, more money I get from Germany.
How is that? How is that possible?
It's I think being from Bosnia, being from Bosnia and having family that were refugees in Germany and all over the world, and then you have your own personal migration experience, and if you're very good with words, how to pack that, they would be okay, we need to support this person.
But you have a background. You
Yes.
really come from a war area.
But I was really somehow, I felt I'm on I could get this money if I use certain vocabulary, if I play on identity politics, tokens and so on, which not necessarily it's bad but I just didn't feel that this gives justice to actually what I'm interested in terms of art and so on. And then I was okay, let me just take a bit of break, and somehow also COVID happened at the same time.
Did you feel bad about it because you felt the things are going well and you've been criticizing Germany?
I just didn't feel good with my art.
Okay.
I didn't give a shit so much about Germany, to be honest.
Okay.
Even though I'm still here, of course. And I live from this. It's
Okay.
there is this kind of toxic relationship happening going on.
The Germans, they also have the guilty trip on their own, so it's not very hard to fall into it. And then can you slowly lead us towards when it started also to become a stand-up besides just doing a conceptual art, which is great, and we will come to it.
Yeah. So a lot of people think I also, my friends, when I told them hey, I'm doing now stand-up, and they were oh, really? How come you're interested? Are you funny? And that's, I think, the biggest delusion. I think stand-up comedians are not funny in everyday life.
Interesting.
they're mostly annoying. These annoying friends that will be completely negative towards everything you're saying. Cynicism. It's constantly, you don't want them at the parties. They will constantly be trying material on you, or they're extracting material from you.
Oh, wow.
Or they would just be like very negative, because I think from this kind of being opposite of something, like the joke can happen, yeah?
Professional insights now, guys.
Yeah. And so they were like, oh my God, we felt like, no, I'm actually not funny. I'm just annoyed. And I think that's the best.
That's great.
That's the best thing for being a stand-up. You just need to be annoyed enough to go on stage and tell everyone why you're annoyed.
This is so organic then. It's grow up organic, because we Balkans are usually...
all annoyed. Everything is annoying, yeah.
Especially Bosnians. They have this kind of like sitting on a coffee and a little bit criticizing the neighbors, but in a very funny way. It's not so...
Yeah, well, recently, as you know, I was in Croatia. I went to Zagreb to have an exhibition, and I was thinking, maybe now because they have euros, they're a bit more civilized. No, they're not.
Not at all.
I just tell you that euro fake things there.
I believe it's
such a lie.
I can imagine this.
So it's like it's a very narrow geopolitical region to divide it. Yeah. So I think when it comes to humor and the history and like everything, it's so interconnected that it's hard to divide. Like, oh, this is my experience, this is your experience. Like, or that you're not aware of each other's experiences, even if they might be different. But like I can see in my works. This development of some kind of irony and humor that was always present. And I'm not actually so much surprised that I came to the stand-up as almost like the purest voice, that it's also me, very subjective. And one of my first works was the projects that I've really think determined my overall interest and topics that I even today I work with within the jokes or any other mediums. It's called We Have Wonderful Life, and it's a project from 2014. It's a 6-channel video installation and photographs, and it's all found footage. It's material that was sent by my family that migrated during the post-war migrations in late 90s to Australia.
Yeah.
So I was for those who maybe listen, and so Bosnia had war happening between 1992 and 1995, and then of course there was refugee migrations, and there were like post-war migrations, and Australia was one of the countries also accepting, so to say, special cases, which would be mixed families and so on. And my family moved to, when I say my family, I mean my uncle, aunt, we all lived in the same house. They moved to Australia in 1999. And a couple of years after they arrived there, they started to send us VHS tapes and photographs and letters and gifts, all with the aim to depict how good life they have now. Don't worry about, with the message like, don't worry about us, we are good, we have great life.
We are fine.
We are fine. And so this footage I remember as a child, we would be like watching in front of the TV.
Amazing.
It was like usually one-way communication. They would be sending us this, and it was like, oh my God, look how great lives they have. They have cars, they have their own rooms, they have their own cakes for birthdays, they are like riding horses and so on. And then I rediscovered this material in 2014, and I was like, okay, started to talk with other people about it and started to figure out that it's not my own unique personal experience.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenon of communication of displaced families from war-torn societies, not just even from Bosnia, but I think many countries, like proto-Skype communication. So I watched materials from other people as well, of course, but I used my own family material because it was my own, and I found it very personal as well. But it was also very specifically documented, very detailed, orientated, very funny. It's almost like painfully funny, and it was a great way to avoid pittiness of the whole situation, that someone would pity you in terms of like, oh my God, look what they went through, you know?
Yeah.
Not just them, but like the whole Bosnia.
Yes.
And so we would rather like crack a laugh. I was like, for real? They were recording all brands in their house for 20 minutes? And it's kind of funny.
When you say brands, so like cigarettes.
Yes, cigarettes, like Sony, Panasonic, like every item they had in the house that has some kind of brand
value.
So it was almost like depicting the quality of life through materialistic values.
Yeah.
And so it was just one way of like showing, but I think this whole work had much more to say about people who were watching the tapes rather than those who were sending them. Like, because whatever they were sending, there's such a basic life.
Yeah.
But to us, that was dream come true. So it's almost like speaking what we did not have. We did not have real Coca-Cola. We didn't have our own rooms. We didn't have our own cakes for birthdays. There was no celebration. There is no reason for celebration.
It's absurd in a way. It's like almost like you could evoke jealousy.
Yeah, exactly. It could evoke a jealousy.
It's a little bit hilarious in a way.
Yeah, I was thinking being a refugee is a dream come true. I was like, wow. Why my family was not a refugee?
Crazy.
Why we stayed? I was always like, why we couldn't go to Australia? And so that work already had very big humor part, like sensitivity to it. And
how did you display it? Like how many screens?
It was so the whole tape was 2.5 hours, and I just split it to 6 channels, so it's easier to perceive. And one of them it's narrative, which my uncle would actually speaking what's happening on this tape.
You recorded with him later, or he really?
No, he recorded himself.
Oh my God, that was so.
It was like a selfie video, you know, just saying like, like, hey, look, you saw us now riding horses there. We were riding horses, and like you could see koala. That's how koala looks like, and like we have now house. You see, we had a birthday, So he was just like very explaining how good, how the life is, yeah. Of course, that was like 3-4 years after they arrived there. So I was always interested in this gap, what happened after they arrived and until they started sending the tapes. But to that, we can come a bit later. So
that's actually already a little bit like I see the seeds of your work, like where there is some kind of irony, cynicism, and deep emotional stories, and like this duality of like what you're doing. Like actually your specialty should be like in a way the dunkel humor.
Yes,
dark humor.
Dark humor.
Yeah. So and then how did you proceed further? What was the skips, jumps?
I mean, as you say, like that I think in Balkans, like dark humor is. I almost feel it's the only type of humor, because everything else, it's so low-key. Like, you need to really say something really funny and disturbing to make someone laugh because they went through so much shit over there. Yeah. And so I think also growing up on that kind of jokes that were just like part of everyday life, and maybe about like Top Lista Nadrealista. It was a TV show and this kind of like high level content.
Yeah, these were really, really comedians, like
very
high level.
sharp, clever. And till today, those are my idols in terms of like premises and ideas they were putting forward to show the absurdity of the situation we were finding ourselves in.
So you've been growing up on they were on TV when you've been small,
exactly,
no?
Yes,
so it's like people don't know, but top list of Nadrealists.
Yes, it's also easy to find on YouTube. It's also translated in English, and it's just I think till today I'm so jealous on one of their jokes. And of course, when I feel jealous means I just know that it's good, very good. It's like they have like sketch. It's something like SNL, of Balkans. And I think it's even better than SNL.
Yeah.
But it's just they're saying, oh my God, like, the TV is going and it's, the urgent news.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, like we need to share you some terrible news that is happening now. Peace broke out. And just this kind of simplicity of a joke where there is no fat like when I say fed, it's just like peace broke out. It's all clear.
No stuccators, no
yes, so the
golden
clean,
leaves.
yeah, exactly, the cleanness of this joke, and it's so charged with what's happening and with how people are sick of everything. It's like peace broke out.
Yeah, beautifully poetic.
Who is gonna now build all these bridges and reinstall the roads? Like, people don't want this. Like, we don't want peace. Like, it's a lot of work.
Human nature,
yes.
Bosnian, Balkan,
yes.
culture roots, a lot of wars.
Yes.
Peace broke up.
So
fun,
till
wonderful.
today, like, this is one of the most brilliant things that they created, in my opinion. And so, of course, growing up with this, you have, I do believe, if people who are not even doing stand-up and so on, they have this in themselves. Like, I know that when I speak people from Bosnia, from Balkans, or other troubled countries, let's say that,
Yes.
like that are not dealing with the first world problems, they have this kind of appreciation for dark humor. Because even the reason I came to stand-up comedy, I think, like, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, maybe I came too late to it. If I knew this earlier in my life, maybe I would not be so much into visual art. But I think I came to it in the right point. And it's just because I think I started being so much interested in jokes, because for me to make sense of the reality, what was happening, I just needed to make joke out of it.
Yeah, when
Because
did it
otherwise-
first come to you
Yeah.
to speak out, to be this little raven that screams out this first joke? Do you remember when?
Yes, I like. So of course, like, when I did this course of writing jokes, and so I did it once. It was good, like, was fun, and I was like, okay, let me do this a couple of more times. It was almost, I was thinking, it can be my sidekick to my artistic practice, like a research method. Like, I'm gonna see if audience is laughing, then maybe I can do an artwork about it, and so on. But of course, it's so much time consuming and mental space that you need to like create a joke and so on. And at the time, I think the biggest kick was actually the around the events when the war in Ukraine started. Yeah.
Okay.
And so what I was very much triggered by the news and political statements that were happening around that time, such as, for example, that all these politicians like I don't know, Schulz and Macron, they were always saying, like, oh, this is the first conflict in European soil since the Second World War.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed
And
this
just
one.
like having this statement so like idiotically put out there, it's like a public admittance that they didn't give a shit what was happening in 90s, not just in Bosnia, but also in Kosovo. And like, nothing was relevant to them. And with this, I felt personally hurt that like these generational traumas that were occurring, and like what your families and other families and people are still going through.
True.
Consequences of
Absolutely.
Bosnian war. It's not, people think it's 30 years ago and it's over. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not just about the state of the country that it is, but people's trauma is so deeply in them, and like, we know what's happening. People are still digging out people from and finding their lost
Yes.
loved ones.
For
Yeah,
generations,
exactly.
It will be from genetically. It
Exactly.
transfers.
Even the reasons I'm here is because I think the country was so, it's still in many ways fucked up that it's sad to even acknowledge this, but like being an artist and what I want to do, it's almost impossible in many ways in Bosnia. I think, I mean, everything is possible. It's just how much you want to like suffer. And a lot of my friends tried to return there, and then they again left. It's so I think I was very much hurt by these statements and seeing this selective empathy. I was not even aware that it would hit me so hard, and I was like, at the right moment that I was like exploring jokes and what you can say, and then I was trying to. I never thought of myself as a writer or that I can write, because writing in my head till then was like just this academic style, and like thesis, and whenever you're finishing university, that's when you need to write, it's like, oh my God, who's going to write now? But the joke is also a type of writing, and there is this power to joke of like ambiguity. So you can still have this freedom of to say something and to provoke a laughter, and that laughter is actually acknowledgement of your point of view.
A relief in a way.
Yes.
Maybe not just yours, in general.
I think so. Yeah,
it's
not
like
just
signal.
It's a dialogue. As much as someone thinks stand-up comedy, it's a monologue, I go there and speak because I'm alone speaking. It's always a dialogue, because whether people are laughing or not laughing, it is a dialogue. I need to listen. Are you laughing or not? And if you're laughing, that means you're saying something to me. You're saying that you are agreeing or disagreeing, or so it's. It was
and bravery to put out the content that you've been maybe frustrated with, and all these topics, put it out there as a joke.
Yeah, and I think I was lucky. I was very lucky because also back then, even now, like I'm on a very beginning. I'm on a beginning line of all this, so I have not much to lose in terms of like, oh, do I need to censor myself what I'm speaking or not? And back then I was like, okay, I don't know where it's gonna go, but like, look, I have a platform to try to say what I want to say, and let's see if it works.
And you approached as an artist, not like Netflix will
exactly
kind of cut you.
Yes, and now when I think about it, it's also someone when I say, oh my God, you just started it, like, or dealing with certain topics that are maybe out of your experience range and so on. But I think, of course, till I'm alive, I'm gonna be learning how to write joke better, like I think with anything, even if you're a painter, through the whole life, you're going to be learning more about painting.
Yes.
But I just took the approach of like creating any other artwork since 10 years, like how you like research the topic, how you trust your moral compass, what you can speak about, how you position yourself within the artwork as an artist, to the method of writing a joke. So still there, you need to trust your moral compass, what you can be speaking about. I think you can speak about anything. It's just you need to be aware of your position within this topic and joke.
And you are painting pictures in a way,
yes.
in our heads.
Exactly.
Because when I was in one of your
Yeah.
stand-up where I kind of fell for it, so that's why I invited you. And I was seeing a lot of pictures. It's a specific kind. There is a bit of this painter inside, like kind of very clear pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think, I think that was almost like the time when the Ukrainian war started, and I started to write jokes that I felt very strongly about, and I felt relief to myself firstly, and then I was like, okay, I don't think this is just gonna be like a hobby, and this is I felt like.
Did it fall on a fruitful soil? Did it?
Yes.
Immediately.
I was just like, I felt like when I mentioned, like when I first time heard what's intermedia art, and I couldn't sleep that night, I felt that same rush when I figured out how is. If someone told me 5 years ago you're going to be on stage and telling people something, I would be like, no, I can't. Like, I don't want to be on stage. I would be so scared. I would be like, what can I say? It's like, when you have a spotlight and like, I don't know how to sing. I don't want to sing. I hate karaoke. I hate all these things, But like with here, I don't even feel that I'm on stage. I don't even feel that I'm doing a performance.
Yes, it's a performance. For you, I see it as a performance.
And it's just like, I just go there and say what I want to say. And it's great if you laugh. And if you don't laugh, I'm going to still keep my thought, but I'm going to try to rewrite it to make you laugh. So it's not about I'm going to leave the topic because the audience doesn't like it. It's like if audience is not laughing means I'm still interested in this topic, but I need to kind of,
that's the professional part of
Yes.
of this job, of this profession. That lately, since I talked with you also a little bit off this, you mentioned that some things that are like you started actually to go more now to explore the profession of the stand-up itself and the comedy itself, and so
Yes.
now it's kind of merging, intervening together, and so that's crazy. I mean, this is now you open the door of another profession for.
Yeah.
It's not just you being authentic there as an artist, but now you said that then you rewrite things, and then it's crazy.
It
So
is
can
a
work.
different studio work, you know.
So a little bit of change of the perspective on a joke can make it from
Funny.
people not laughing to being
exactly.
funny.
So that's the studio work. So when I say to you I perform every night, you would be like, oh my God, how? But like, you're tuning in, like, let's say, existing material, or you have new ideas, new tags. Tag is actually like a small part that you added to a joke that you found funny, and or it emerges by. I think repetition is very important part of stand-up comedy. This repetition, and like I know a couple of jokes, and not just me, but a lot of comedians. You're doing it for a very long time, and you know it's not mature, it's not completely ready, but you're still doing it and you're putting it out there because it's going to happen something with the interaction of audience, with listening to them. Like some of them are laughing, some of them not. So, okay, something is happening there, but like I still need to work towards this. So it's like, I think it's just different method of creating something. Like when I'm in my studio and I create drawings or some other artwork, sculptures, I'm on my own, and whatever I put out there, I don't need to know what audience thinks about it until it's exhibited. And still, I'm not sure if I care what the audience thinks about it.
So that's you're not running for the laugh on first place. You are actually just reorganizing the perspectives and doing your ideas out.
Yes.
That's to be clear.
To me, it's important that I'm still on the topic that I want to be saying and speaking, because that's the only time that I will imitate the trust and that I, when I'm secure in what I have to say, you're going to trust me. Yes. If I'm shaky with my own opinion, I'm just speaking about topics that are not as much of my own interest, but just to please you, it's also going to come, as such, like very low key, not so in depth and so on. I would not be convincing,
Just to stop here, that's a great point that I hear from very experienced artists or musicians. Exactly there, this authenticity. Actually, so it's worth pursuing it because in the end there is no other way.
Yeah,
that's great. You mentioned it. I really like it. So since I have no really real a plan of talk, I would just jump in with this tire. This tire is in my head when you mentioned now art, to jump a little bit to that tire and to this is also hilarious sculpture installation. Can you just explain it a bit?
I'm glad you picked also that one of the works. So because it has exactly, it's almost like joke sculptures, and it's so hard to. Or I got another curator also told me recently, like, they call them joke sculptures. I never thought of them as joke sculptures. I knew that they could be funny, and to me they're funny, but not necessarily they may be funny to everyone. But I think each of these, so the work is called Zudo's Paket, or Southeastern Package, and it started in 2017. But now it's really like emerging, and it's getting different shapes. It's like kind of ongoing project. At this point, I feel like, I have so many bus tires in my studio. I feel like, I could work as a mechanic in some way. Yeah. And I know all types of the tires that exist. I had no clue I would know that in my life. But it just became like some side story, because when I was living in Germany and going to Bosnia was not as easy, not even today. Like still... from Berlin, there is no direct flights to my hometown. You need to travel to Zagreb or to Belgrade, so like neighboring countries. So it's like traveling to a different dimension. And there was usually, I was traveling with a bus, and you hate this bus, because it's 20 to 24 hours of like traveling to different dimensions. Oof. And whether you're traveling from Germany to Bosnia or from Bosnia to Germany, there are two different stories going on in this bus. And as more as I was really always despising this environment and so on, I started to think about it, why I despise it. Why do I'm so repulsed by the content of these buses, you know? And is it a problem within me or the circumstances that are happening inside of a bus, or why we are even in this fucking bus? And so, yeah, of course, when you're going from Germany towards Bosnia, there is this, like, you're very excited to go home and like, oh my God, like I'm going home. And within the first hour, it's almost like this circles of like hell, you know, like
Dante.
first hour, your first hour, you're like so excited. I'm going home. I can't wait. The trip is starting. 2 hours in, you're already like, the music, I don't like this music. That's what they're playing. And then next to you is a person that opened already like a burek that smells. But the problem is you have that same fucking burek in your bag as well, but you hate his burek or their burek, you know? So it's like you're complicit in the whole story, but you hate the story. And then 3 hours in, you're already getting to know the people. You're like, oh, you know, like you're getting a bit annoyed because you want to sleep and so on, but you need to converse. And then like 7 hours in, you're best friends. You kind of you get
know everybody.
Yeah, you know everyone. Everyone speaks to you, like, you know, the driver is smoking, you start smoking. It's like, it becomes like you getting to remind where you're going to, what you missed. Like, I can just go in a bus and go back. I would be having the whole Bosnian experience already. I don't need to go. Yes.
Time
yeah, exactly.
machine.
I don't need anything else except being in that bus. By the end of the trip, you kind of love each other. Maybe you got even like a boyfriend, girlfriend, like you got a job, maybe, whatever. It's the whole thing. But there is
It spins you.
Yeah.
It spins you. You're all inside with
Exactly.
your lives and
but
destinies.
there is this beautiful social aspect, which I noticed when, for example, we're traveling from Bosnia to Germany.
Backwards or forward.
Yeah. So that type of route and bus, it's filled much more with fear because you're crossing a border. You're going somewhere. And in order to cross a border, you need to have certain amount of money with you, cash, reasons why you're going, maybe a return ticket. They will questioning you on the borders. And so, of course, you're always scared, anticipation. Maybe it's your first time traveling. I remember my first time traveling with a bus.
Back.
And no, to Germany. When I was moving, I had no clue where I'm going. And it's just like you're very much insecure about your own identity because you're taught almost to feel less worth, you know, and like you always feel like, oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna be stealing your jobs. I'm just gonna go there for a visit. I have enough money to be a tourist. Don't worry. Like I can be a tourist, you know. This is what you want to prove them on the border, that you are
a good tourist.
You can afford to be a tourist.
Wow.
That's the thing. So, but what was happening, for example, of course, I had no money, enough money to cross the border to enter the European Union. Because, of course, for example, if you're going to Germany, you need to have like, I don't know, back then was, I don't know, 40, 50 euros a day or even more. And if I'm staying for 20 days, so if you have 50 euros a day, 20 days, I don't have that money, you know? But what was happening, the drivers would be asking across the bus, who needs money? And we give you money to cross the border. And so they would be giving me like hundreds of euros. And to everyone who would need the money.
The driver would give you the money,
Yes.
or everybody collected?
No, the driver.
They had a certain cash.
Yes,
with
they
them.
had cash with themselves.
Oh my God.
And you would give them back cash. Of course, I will cross the Croatian and Slovenian border, you give them back cash. But that was, I never thought of this. It was such a, but then the drivers would be going through a bus as well and asking, do you smoke? And I said, no, I don't smoke. Can you take this pack of cigarettes for us? So then you take a pack of cigarettes from them and 1 liter of rakia, because that's the legal amount to cross the border, you know. So you take for them, they give you. So there was this kind of community that was happening within a bus that I found very interesting and funny and in a way beautiful, no?
It's
as
poetic.
much as it came out from like very disturbing place of needing to prove yourself and so on, but there was this like sense of like, okay, we are all in this together, so let's try to figure it out, we're not leaving anyone behind. And so I remember this situation that I really found very beautiful. And also seeing what people would be like smuggling, like very worthless things, but something that reminds them of home, like type of food. And that's how the work started in terms of like trying to depict this shift of the value of places, where usually objects and stuff that will be coming from Germany, you would attribute as valuable, yeah? Mm-hmm. But now we are smuggling like very worthless, economically worthless stuff, but because it actually has cultural value. Emotional value. You're smuggling and risking a lot just to bring this like, piece of your home with you. Mm. And I found it very powerful in terms of like shifting this like power of like places, like, oh, we are going to Germany, but still I'm willing to just to bring a piece of Bosnia with me. And this is how the work started. I started to fill bus tires and present them in the exhibition spaces with one of these, like this type of cigarettes or this type of food, and that we are not available on the market here in Germany. And then later, this work started to develop in so many different ways. Like I would try to depict the smell of a bus through perfumes and cigarettes. Or, I don't know, now in Sarajevo, they're filled with Haribo bonbons, because that's what we always, when I think of Germany, I think of Haribo. It's still my junky food,
Yeah.
And this is, I think there is some kind of humor in it, and very relatable when you start thinking of it.
Crazy. Yeah, it looks like the destiny is pinned inside these bus tires, and they kind of it looks, for me, it was fascinating. Also, friend has one sculpture, your work that she pointed that says hardly to translate. So we are transferring tourist to Pičku materinu.
Yes, it's so hard to translate that work. It's also like a self-portraits. Yes, self-portraits
series.
Yes, I will also now come to this, how that work started. But yeah, that work, it's called Nudim prevoz putnika iz Njemačke u Pičku materinu.
Exactly.
Which is it's very hard to translate to any other language, but in poetic translation, it's like.
But first, explain what they do first. There is a little vans from Croatia, especially probably Bosnia, where little entrepreneurs, little business dudes figure out that there is this now connection, especially where the EU is open.
It's like looking and offering transport from A to B, and usually from like connecting this third world to the first world. It's like and it's usually run through Facebook groups and so on, and like Viber,
so low level trash life.
Exactly.
And so, but
low
it works.
level, but it somehow works. It's a parallel universe. And
there it happens. They transport different stuff. Sometimes just stuff. And it's like crazy.
It's parallel market that like offers a lot and takes a lot. So, and to me, like whenever I don't use much Facebook now, but like whenever you go there, there's always someone is on these groups, and it's still so vivid and alive.
Crazy.
And the work came like from this originated from that, like using this phrase, I'm looking or offering transport from Germany to, let's say, Bosnia or Croatia or Serbia or this and that. And I just, replace all this region with a word like, which in English, it's so hard to translate. Like literally translation is into mother's pussy, but it's just like very, charged meaning of like to the like doomed land, like to the place where, no existence or whatever. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yes. It's a language barrier to explain it, but it's a hilarious one.
But that's the thing. I also like that work because the targeted audience to understand this work, it's very specific. Yeah. Like when I present that drawing or that saying, that joke, it doesn't people from Germany or anywhere else that are not coming from that region will not understand that joke.
Yes.
So I really like that it's coming to this as a dog whistle politics. It's like dog whistle. Who is gonna understand this? It's actually meant to these people.
And it's crazy. I'm 49. This friend was also a young artist. She ran to me at your stand-up. She was also looking some of your works. She was like, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
So she's 18, you know what I mean? So it's a generational thing. They're transporting things to the mother's pussy. In the end, they will do everything anywhere. It's this hustle moment, the gene that
it's just
the
that we
Balkan
are
people
perceived
have.
as like this description of that region. It's that I did in a joke. It's just like people are so fed by it, and I think it makes you think: are we so bad, or where are we going? Why we are also having this fear of returning to somewhere? Why we think we are less worth? Because I think the whole region lives in the perception of someone else about themselves, and. So I think I really like to play with language in terms of like, especially when it comes to self-portraits and drawings, who can understand what. And with the self-portraits, it's actually the whole series of works, of drawings, and called "If I Stop Smiling, They Will See How Angry I Am." And it's a work that happens more or less parallelly with the discovery of stand-up comedy. It's just that I wanted to go back to, let's say, basics, and not painting, but like drawing. Mm-hmm. Maybe you know yourself as an artist and a painter that like after I was not painting for so long, you develop some kind of fear of white paper. Like, oh my God, I have this white paper and white surface, but I don't want to do anything because I'm going to ruin it. Yeah. And I don't have money to buy a new one. Yes. And let me not do anything then, And then I was like, okay, I had, during COVID, as many freelancers here, I had the most amount of money in my life in COVID. Yeah. It's hard to say that, but
it's true.
It's true.
I know what you mean. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It is some kind of absurdity in all this. And then I was like, okay, I can afford paper now and I don't need to exhibit anywhere. I don't want to exhibit anywhere. I'm just going to be doing stuff for myself and try to overcome the fear of paper and just to try to go back to the manual production of artworks. Because not having a studio puts you in a position that you need to do it on your laptop, in the forms of photography or video works and so on. And I just really had wished to do something with my hands because I know I have a skill. Yes. And then I started to do this, I had a lot of self-portraits from the city photo booths and so on. And I started to scan them and print them and then try to play with them. But I think this production of so many self-portraits became almost like I'm producing all of my personalities that were somehow modified or in my everyday life. Yeah. Stuff that would be hard to say or seen as rude or loud or too opinionated. Mm-hmm. And I would be just creating this almost as a diary. Mm-hmm. Or making myself, like a lot of these drawings in beginning were very disturbing or looking like that I'm doing violence to myself. Mm-hmm. But I think it was just, some kind of release of everyday emotions or like what I needed to, how to behave within everyday life, but I could be free within the drawings. Yeah.
Isn't that like how the stand-up works?
Yes, I think that was the first way of me trying to, I never censoring myself there. I can say whatever I want in this drawing because if I need to censor myself in that window of creation, then I'm nowhere. Then I don't do nothing.
So from fear of white canvas to jump into an unknown, it's a bravery that one needs, no?
Yes. Great. And then, I started there to also use a lot more language and like what I was writing or hearing people repeating. So I would be like using this in these drawings and interventions on self-portraits.
You started to write over your
Yes,
portraits. Like
exactly.
They're almost there, like they're expressing and
It's
saying.
almost like a meme. Became like a meme. You could interpret it in a different way as an audience, but of course I had certain expressions that I would pair with certain phrases.
Can you mention me some? I'll put the photos.
Yes. For example, I was in the process of applying for another visa and so on, and I was filling some documents, and I saw this logo of Arbeitsamt, or I don't know, it's called Make It in Germany. And I saw this logo, and I was so triggered by this saying, like, make it in Germany. What this means to make it in Germany. It's almost like, are you challenging me as a migrant to make it here? There is even a website called Make It in Germany where they're recruiting migrant workers from different countries, how to easier to come there. And then I, took this and put it over my picture. It's almost like, and then I was like, make it in Germany? We're gonna dominate if you're already challenging me. So don't worry.
That's a punchline already.
Yeah. So this was I scanned my picture, I scanned this logo, and then I wrote my own intervention on it. So I think it started to work like that. Like I would be saying jokes, but in a visual format.
Very meme, short.
So it was not a sculpture now. It was like just a picture and me and so on. And but nowadays it's really a lot of textual interventions where I'm actually using the punchlines from my jokes on my portraits. Even though nowadays, like as I was mentioning you before, I'm taking now like a bit low-key break from stand-up or performing every night, but because I also want to come back to drawing, that it's that on my portraits and stuff, that it's not just like a lot of text, because I'm using a language a lot in my everyday life in terms of performing stand-up and writing. So I want to have to try to do this text in a visual form.
Interesting. Yeah. I got you. So you're coming now a little bit forwards and backwards, because recently we talked and you were like, no, I'm doing it every night. And now you came for this little trip and you're like, okay, I'm overloaded.
It's just, I know I'm like in a month, it's going to be probably again every night once, but it's just, I feel I need to make more balance now, because I feel now I need to be more in my studio rather in my visual art studio rather than studio in terms of like a comedy club or bars where you perform comedy. So there is like, it's hard to balance like in terms, because you constantly, if I'm during the day in a studio till like 6, and then you go home, shower, and you go to another studio to do jokes. So the whole day you are creatively exhausted. It's not like, I'm working as a software developer and then I go and do what I love. In both ways, I actually enjoy what I do. It's just now when I have an exhibition, I need to put more effort to this. And but now within the exhibition, I'm doing stand-up. So it's kind of, I'm still trying to figure out the rhythm. So I'm trying to play, okay, I really feel somehow physically exhausted doing it every night. And I don't feel good if I'm not in my studio for a long time. So let me try to balance and maybe do it like 3 times a week. And then like to be in the studio a bit more.
So you work a lot. That's really, wow. It takes a lot of energy. So what I wanted to ask you now, since we are going towards your next, you have a 7 tonight.
It's 7:30.
So I would ask, fine. I would invite myself to come with you, and maybe I can film a little bit. So just to put it, that's one thing. The second thing is like few short questions because we're running out with time. I'm curious about, you mentioned even in your stand-up serotonin thing. I think these DJs, these people who are very much like directly getting the feedback of their work, of their work done carefully before, but then when you do it, you have to. So can you talk about this?
Well, I will mention that, and also I will come to the point of difference, like performing within the comedy clubs and the galleries and museums, and how I found this also now a bit not problematic, but I'm seeing where it's going and how I need to actually take control over it. So when it comes to stand-up comedy, the process of creating a joke, it's different than being in your own studio and you just like do art and, you do what you want to do. Here, you're constantly in front of the audience, and if they laugh, it's a really good feeling. It's this acknowledgement of your point of view or of your opinion. Means you're funny, so you get a bit like, your ego is boosted. Tomorrow, you might be bad with the same material, you can bomb. So this is the vocabulary. Like when the jokes are working well, we call it killing. When jokes are not working with the audience, it's bombing. Yeah. And so
it can happen different for the same. So
with the same jokes,
so you have to survive anyway. So whatever you have, it can happen.
Yeah, with the same jokes in one night could happen that in one set you killed and the second you bombed. And
constellation of audience, I would guess.
Also audience, but also maybe your energy, but your ability to connect with audience. So of course, as longer you're doing it as a comedian, I just imagine like people that are doing it 20 years, they already can sense different types of audience, and they will find a way to connect with them. Doesn't matter, because I saw myself like performing in front of seemingly dead audience, and I would be doing it okay. I didn't kill, was not bad, but I did well. And then the comedian after me that came that has much more experience than me, and I was like, okay, let me see how he does. If he does also mediocre, then I would be happy to blame the audience,
Yeah.
But he killed. He did so good, and then I'm like, yeah, I need to work more. I need to work more in terms like how to be able to connect with every type of. He really did a smart thing. I noticed what he did, in which way he connected. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what the experience come from, and like just sampling so many different situations that you are in and trying to adjust yourself in the future. So of course you get addicted to this, and as more, I think like I became. The whole day I could be so low and not having energy, but then 6 p.m. comes and I'm like, I'm good. I'm suddenly good because I know it's gonna come.
Okay.
I know it's gonna come. This rush, this adrenaline of going on stage
and making people laugh.
And
That's
making
beautiful,
people, yes.
But also
it's very hard. But like, I become addicted to this feeling of in having this every day. You become much more sensitive. So I think a lot of it's not a myth that a lot of comedians are very depressed as well. Yeah, they're depressed, and because
the more prepared you are, the more you care, or something like. The more you know, the more you care.
Yes,
that's why you mean the sensitive. I mean why sensitive?
For me, it's just like having it's like on such a short periods of time. So it's not like you feel so happy and adrenaline and like, wow, I feel like on top of the world when my set land, and then you get compliments from the audience. And so of course you feel so good about yourself, and like your life has meaning, you know?
Yes.
And
somebody learns.
And then tomorrow it's shit. You eat ass at the stage. And then you feel, and that's all within 24 hours, sometimes even within 1 hour, you know? Wow. So, of course, that does something to your body and to your mind. So, I think I did not have that before stand-up comedy. Like, you would prepare your works and then have a exhibition, and of course this exhibition opening, you feel like naked, you feel nervous, I don't want to converse with people, to explain my artwork. Like you feel a bit stressed, of course, and it could be great review, it could be bad, people can love it and not love it. The worst thing in art world is like when no one speaks about the exhibition.
True.
That's it. Yes. I think same with the stand-up comedy. It's not the worst when they're not laughing. The worst is when they're chit-chatting and talking and looking at their phones. That's the worst thing. That's when they're listening, means they're there with you, but still your currency is laughter. You want active laughter, you know? But I think there is also like some kind of social and cultural backgrounds. It depends what country you're coming from. Sometimes they laugh inside, you know?
That's north.
Yeah, so there is this kind of, you get addicted to that feeling of rush or anything. Doesn't matter. Even like bombing became addictive to me. Like,
really?
Because you're going to feel something. You're going to feel disappointed.
So intense emotions.
Yes. these kind of intense emotions, just like being in front of audience all the time. And that's what I also feel like I need a little bit of break, because I got exhausted of these intense emotions.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I just want like to restart that for a second. But
for the end, because
Yes.
we have
it's
to get on time.
No, it's fine. We're gonna come on time. It's just
What about-
it's very much more chill with a stand-up comedy. Like it's an open mic. The show is gonna start in 10 minutes, 15. It's like there are comedians that can jump in front of me, and they know already. I informed them, so that's all fine.
I'm your driver. I don't want to be blamed.
And don't worry. They know where I am. And
Mila, life takes, stand-up gives back, huh? I was good student.
Yes.
Is this yours?
Not really. I mean,
concept.
yes. I think. I mean, love stakes is.
How it worked on you? That's what.
As I said, I think in beginning, like I'm at this point where I'm trying to also write a lot of jokes that are considering my own personal life, or trying to sample that to create like a joke that could be like, let's say, a bit more universal, but like coming from my personal observation and experience, no? And when it comes to this, like, life takes, stand-up comedy gives back, it's just like, for me, stand-up comedy became a window to process the reality or the past. And I feel very much in peace with me. And I think this also, like, writing jokes taught me so much about the way how to think or how to speak with someone about certain things. And it's the
like a self-therapy a bit, yeah?
I mean, like,
no,
it's sometimes
don't
someone
sound
people,
cheesy.
of course, it becomes cheesy when say like, oh, stand-up is a therapy, but it's not that it's not as well, you know. Like, you can still be doing therapy. I don't do it. I'm cured. I did it for 6 months. I'm done. But like, it became to me like, okay, I have this one personal experience that. Maybe in an everyday life would be so hard for me to speak about it. But if I make a joke about it and still say it, it's almost like empowering. Yeah. And I'm trying to not create pityness, or I don't want you to be sad for me.
No, that's
I want
not
you to laugh with me.
No, you are brutal.
Yeah.
Nobody's sad.
Yeah, and I just want you to laugh with me at this and realize how absurd the whole thing is. I know it's maybe you when you hear my jokes, you would think, oh, maybe she invented all this thing. Maybe she just have this hard imagination and create a joke that is such a, like, a lot of jokes, of course, in my case, flirt with exaggeration and have this exaggeration in it to make a stronger point. But they're all rooted in some kind of personal experience. And so for me, this just like, makes me be in peace with myself. So yeah, I don't know. This is how I use stand-up comedy at this point. Luckily, the topics I want to work with, they align with works that I was doing before, and then now curators within the art world, and they're very curious in stand-up as a medium, as a mode of borderline free speech at this point with this political climate that we are having. Me being able to say certain things in certain spaces or institutions, as I said in this art talk when you were there, I almost feel like their conscience washing through my mouth. They're washing their conscience through my mouth, because being within the museum and being able to say stuff against, let's say, German government, where you could be easily cut your funding because of this saying. But if I say it as a joke, it still has this, it's just a joke. But still, people who are laughing, like, they know it's not just a joke. So I felt also like that this could be a very empowering part of stand-up, even though sometimes I feel like until I'm saying what I want to say, I'm happy. As soon as you start censoring me and saying you can't be doing this, I might would have a problem with myself. At this point, I'm not searching for Netflix special. Of course, like if Netflix is listening, yeah, sure, I am.
Netflix.
But it's just I don't know if I would need to compromise in future and how is my practice or stand-up comedy is going to develop in future. But for this moment, I'm just enjoying the freedom of like anonymity and being anonymous enough so I can say whatever I want.
I got you. Well, I hope you become more famous and you can still say what you want, because you are really like on this path of authenticity. And it's, how do you feel? I mean, obviously you already took a little bit of stand with these curators using you as a little bit voice of,
Yeah.
Is this...
I mean, I speak about them about it. I speak about them about this, and I think, but I think they're also aware. And I said, like, then I'm thinking, okay, I don't need to be like, okay, I'm aware of it, but I don't, how critical I am towards it. Because if this should be the role of like jokes at this point in this political climate where it's so risky to say anything, people are getting canceled left and right and censored left and right and silenced. So if this would be the way for me to say something, then I'm going to use that platform to do it. So, but until when it started to be used to say wrong things, then it can be problematic. Yeah, until you're still saying right stuff that should be said and voiced out there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, I have so many questions still, and it's great. But I think we portray just a croquis of you. So maybe in future we meet in some time and see how you are doing. And I wish you all the best.
I hope so too.
And I'm looking forward to hear you again tonight, because I love it.
Yes.
I didn't want to go with what jokes I was laughing, because then maybe.
I think tonight you're gonna hear like a couple of new jokes and some new material, because I'm trying to push myself to like do some completely new stuff and or some more crowd work. But I'm so happy. I don't know, like felt like I was speaking 5 minutes. That's the thing. That's the professional deformation. I could speak forever, and I just feel it's nothing. Yes.
Normally, I'm blocking myself not to interrupt people, but with you, I had to interrupt you.
That's the thing.
You
I
are
could
good
speak
with
a lot.
words. My lady, you are really. You can talk and you make sense. That's the worst. So I was like, okay, just don't interrupt.
It's So I'm very happy. Like I hope that the listeners could like grasp this kind of interaction of like to like how visual art and how actually stand-up is on the landscape of contemporary art. It's just and that it's not just purely entertainment, that and I think
don't know
everyone
many people. Probably there are in the world, probably but you're like a pioneer a bit.
I mean, I never, when you ask me, do I know someone? I didn't even research. I'm sure there are people, like there is so rarely to be unique or something.
Absolutely.
And nor I'm interested to be pioneer in anything. That gives me no money. No money in my pocket nor out of it at this point. It's just, I just happy that they gave me platform opportunity to do what I want to do, and that I don't need to like put my stand-up practice aside to do visual art, but I can actually put it together. Beautiful. And I'm happy that I'm creating that kind of world for myself.
I can't wait that this episode gets out. So let's go now to hear you there.
Yes, let's go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mila.
How are you doing? Was it a good night? Yeah. Nice. Yes, my name is Mila, and I'm from Bosnia.
Yeah.
Wow, do we know where Bosnia is? Yeah, we also had a war. It's a bit vintage now, but it's still out there. Yeah, it's still good. It's strong. Anyone traveled to Bosnia maybe, or through Southeastern Europe?
Yes.
Why?
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful. Any other reason?
Lovely people.
Lovely people, yes.
Very beautiful.
Well, let's see after the set if you think I'm lovely, but that's good. But let's also maybe, because I did grow up in a village there. Any village people here? A lot of people fucking their cousins. I mean, we are an Arab show, what do I talk?